Hi from Skardu. This is Madiha Shafiq and today we are here at Khaplu for our second episode of TechSavvy program under the Tech Destination initiated by Managing Director Mr. Usman Nasir, Pakistan Software Export Board. So before moving forward, I would like to give a quick recap of our yesterday's session which we had at Shigar Fort. So yesterday we discussed about the issues we are facing related to IT industry and currently where we are standing and where we want to go. So in today's episode we would like to have a discussion which will be very fruitful because we will be discussing HR capacity building, the skills gap, upskilling and reskilling. So I would like to give a quick introduction of my guest. At first, we have Mr. Usman Nasir, Managing Director, Pakistan Software Export Board, and then Syed Ahmed, CEO DPL and Chair IT Sub Task Force, and then we have Shamim Rajani, CEO Gentech and Code for Girls, and then we have Jahanzeb Ibrahim, Director Wireless, Telecom Wing, Ministry of IT and Telecom. So moving forward to our second episode, I would like to give a quick introduction of our Pakistan community. We are the country having a very young population because we are the sixth most populous country of the world, and we have 64% of young people here, which is quite a big number. So we have a very big number, and we should make our youth workforce. So I would like to give the mic to Usman Saab. He will be telling us what the actions we should take to overcome the gap of this human resource and capacity building.
Thank you, Madhya. When we started this whole discussion, we realized that the industry is facing a shortage of 40,000 skilled resources. So we had to find an alternative route to fulfill that. The traditional methods of doing a tender and going through the motions, it was becoming very difficult. So what we did, we went on and we discussed our requirements directly with most of the tech multinationals. And when we asked them of their opinion, a lot of them came forward and were willing to contribute. And what they did, they were willing to significantly reduce the cost of their courses, and if we got the direct reduced courses prices, that will help us significantly going forward. So we are now in the process of receiving those prices. Those prices will help us. Now, how we are going to execute it? We are partnering with the industry. So we'll be giving these courses, these significantly reduced price courses, to the companies who are willing to take on students on internship. We'll also be paying for the internship prices, for the internship cost, as well as we are now looking to start a program with the universities, where the universities, a finishing school sort of a concept. Syed came up with that concept about 4 or 5 years ago. We've been discussing this concept with the industry for a while. It looks brilliant because we have to with the internship we have to immediately fulfill the gaps with the graduates who are now out in the market, and for the next 2 batches we'll use the university finishing school concept. And this finishing school would not only teach them the technology skills, would also teach these students about negotiation, customer handling, a bit of financial elements, legal, ethical, all those sort of values, and we will be partnering with universities to carry out these courses. Altogether, we are trying to train somewhat 15,000 people every year between these 2 programs.
So Syed Ahmed Saab, since you are the chairperson, Prime Minister IT Sub Task Force, I would like you to tell us about the midterm and long-term initiatives we should take to arrange our human resource according to global environment.
So IT industry is going through a very fast-paced growth right now. Last year we had a 46% growth, and all this growth happening in the IT industry has really put a lot of pressure on our supply side on the HR skills. Um, in order to achieve the targets that the government has set up, for example, by 2025, if we want to achieve $10 billion worth of IT exports, we need at least 100,000 undergraduates or skilled labor coming into the market. Right now, it's only 25,000 undergraduates coming into the market, and we feel only 5 to 7,000 of them are exportable. So, first of all, we really need to improve the quality of the undergraduates. For that, there are quite a few programs we have been working on. For example, one of the programs which was already piloted before was the Prime Minister's Outreach Scholarship Program. And through that, if we really scale that up to 10,000 scholarships per year, we can put in the best of the minds into the IT sector and put them in the good universities, and that can really improve the quality of the undergraduates. Similarly, we are looking to improve the quality of teaching. For example, making sure that the industry is collaborating a lot more with the academia in delivery of the courses, and for that there are a couple of programs to help the industry teach in the universities, and also provide internships and on the job training for the students. Apart from that, 4 years degree program cannot quickly scale up to cater for the needs. So for that, there are quite a few areas we need to do experimentation. Skills programs in Pakistan for a long time have not really delivered quality skilled labor to the IT sector. So we need to do quite a few experimentation. So for example, we have there are boot camps being designed, there are short diplomas being designed, there are stackable degree programs being designed, and all of these things are quite new, and frankly we don't know what's going to work, but we have to try them all out, and whichever programs end up being producing the best quality that we really need to be scaled up very quickly. And for that, I think PSEB, Ministry of IT, Pasha, everyone is and also provincial governments and federal bodies, they are all focusing on this problem, and I really hope that within next year and a half we'll have some successful outcomes of these programs that can be scaled later on to meet the needs of the industry.
Thank you, Syed. Because since we know the gap between industry and academia is very important to overcome, and since it's raining here, so I would like to conclude our session. So moving forward to Shamim Rajani. Since ma'am, you have worked with various organizations, I would like you to tell us the detail about what skills do we need if we talk about the next 5 year plan for our Pakistani youth. What should be the technological transformations we should cover in the coming years?
Thank you. So I think Syed and Usman have both covered a lot of what the government and the private sector have been doing together. However, there's some things that, so you asked about the next 5 years. Apart from, let's talk about the technology stacks first. So we are good in open source at the moment. Alhamdulillah, we do have a lot of resource pool in there, but we do lag in emerging technologies. So we need to focus more on those areas, not to say that do not focus on the open source and closed source technologies, but also move towards emerging technologies. Along with that, I also want to add a bit of emphasis on focusing on soft skills, so business communication and how to talk to customers, how to write proper emails, how to communicate. I think these are things that are very, very important and need to be taught rather than at an institution level or in the industry level. I think it's the institution's responsibility to do that. And I have been working as part of several organizations, including Pasha, Code Girls, and working with the academia to make sure that the programs like these are introduced. Like Syed said, that we are trying. We are so diploma programs, crash courses, upskilling and reskilling programs for existing employees, as well as trying to bridge the academia gap through working on courses, their core courses or their elective courses, by involving the industry to come and join hands with the trainers, with the academia, and teach these courses. And we'll see what works out in the next 1 year. We'll be more, we will know more, I guess, in the next 1 year, which one of these work out. And I think that's the same way that we do business. We try a couple of things, and then whatever works out, we move very quickly in that direction. So yeah.
Thank you so much. So moving forward to our last guest, Jahanzeb Saab from Ministry of IT and Telecom. We are here at Skardu from couple of days, and we were having meetups with industry and academia, and we were listening to their issues, which were mainly concerns related to connectivity and electricity. So Jahanzeb sir, I would like you to give us the plan you have related to infrastructure development in these remote areas and e-education. How can we bring these things in these remote areas, because we focus more in Lahore, Karachi and Islamabad. What we should do for these areas?
Thank you very much, Madiha. Uh, I'm very pleased to see that at this height and with this weather and with this difficult terrain, challenging terrain, we still have, alhamdulillah, 4G coverage here at Khaplu and reasonable quality of service as well. Uh, Again, it's an honor to see the top leadership, that is the Prime Minister, Cabinet, and especially our Minister and Secretary, fully aligned on the digital agenda. And we see that, few of the initiatives that have been taken are unprecedented, actually. For instance, if we see that, the budget of the whole annual budget of Gilgit-Baltistan last year probably was in the range of 65 to 68 billion rupees. And I'm very pleased, very glad to share that within these 1.5 years, Ministry of IT and Telecom, through Special Communication Organization, which is an operator providing cellular mobile services, fixed telecom services, triple play services in AJK and GB regions, we have spent and are in process of spending almost 24 billion rupees of projects in these areas. So few of the projects have already been completed, like Pak China optical fiber connectivity, like upgradation of our metro fiber network to provide triple play services, to provide fixed connectivity, to provide fixed broadband connectivity in our urban centers within AJK and GB. Then, since the launch of 3G and 4G services in Pakistan, unfortunately, we never had an NGMS, Next Generation Mobile Services Spectrum auction in AJK and GB. So Alhamdulillah, within the span of almost 16 months, and after taking all the concerned stakeholders on board, including Ministry of AJK and GB, GB Council, AJK Council, Alhamdulillah, we saw that we had a successful spectrum auction in AJK and GB, where all the 4 operators have participated. Telenor has got 15 megahertz and 21 megahertz. We have Zong taking more than 10 megahertz and 1800 megahertz. So I'm very hopeful that with this, mobile cellular services will improve significantly in the region. Then one more thing which has happened, that since 1976, SU has been operating in these regions, but we never had a major chunk of spectrum allocated for them. So in this year, Alhamdulillah, with the approval of the federal government, we have allocated 10 megahertz of spectrum, paired spectrum, that is 10 megahertz uplink, 10 megahertz downlink in 1800 megahertz for SCO, and additionally 10 megahertz paired spectrum in 2100 megahertz band for SCO. So coupled with the other operators that have acquired spectrum in the auction, and this quantum of spectrum that has been allocated to SCO, again, we are very hopeful that mobile services shall improve in the region. I am also, I also want to emphasize that 100% coverage is not available in any country of the world. Even in countries like Norway or Finland or Denmark, they have in the range of 85 to 95% coverage. So we acknowledge, we are not saying that we have done it, we have done it all, but we are in the process of, inshallah ta'ala, gradually improving the mobile sector in the region. And with, with 24 billion rupees of projects already in progress, and with significant improvement in metro networks, this will, I'm very hopeful that this will add, this will benefit the local community, the local IT industry, education sector, health sector, to digitalize it and follow the digital agenda of the federal government. Thank you very much.
So, Sayed Saab, I have a question for you. Is it practical to go for 50 to 60 billion dollars with this capacity and with the supply side? And if it is, like we were talking about yesterday as well, so what steps should we take to achieve this goal?
So I think if we took the right steps that we are taking now, for example, if we took the right steps in 2000 and 2005, we should have been at $30 billion right now, and we missed that train. Philippines is right now more than $30 billion. India is at $180 billion. So, and if you look at the global market opportunity, it's more than $500 billion. And I definitely think in the longer term, this kind of growth is possible. Why I believe that is, first of all, Pakistan has the largest youth bulge in the world. And this is our, for Pakistan, this youth is our gold mine. But we really need to kind of have a longer term look at our policies, our education system, and we really need to kind of have this, most of our policy mostly looks for very short term kind of look at things. So I definitely believe that there's a massive opportunity in e-commerce. We are just getting started on that. We have massive opportunity in shared economy. Freelancing, Pakistan is already at now number 4, and we can really kind of scale that up as well. And the biggest opportunity lies in the IT sector, where if we kind of graduate all the freelancers towards SMEs, we graduate the smaller companies to the bigger companies, we still need to have our own billion-dollar IT companies like India has many. So I definitely think if we take a 10-year view and have a consistency of policies and have the subsequent governments place the same kind of importance on digital like this government is doing, I definitely think this is doable. But for that, there needs to be massive reforms when it comes to higher education. There needs to be focus on undergraduate quality of education, both quality and quantity of, so because we believe that all of our youth deserves to get their degrees, undergraduate degrees, and if we are able to do that, if we are able to reform our education sector, I think $30 billion to $50 billion over the period of next 10 years to 15 years is totally possible.
Very good point you have raised, Sayed, and obviously HEC is having a very important role for this to overcome this gap, very important gap we are having, because I have heard IEEE is having one conference every year, but we are like hearing a gap between industry and academia needs to be improved and it needs to overcome, but we are still standing where we were since last 5 years. So moving forward to Shamim Rajani, I would like to give you the mic and tell us about the diversity, since you were running a setup code girls. And so, what the points you have related to diversity?
Thank you. I think going back to Syed's point about having consistency in policy, that's very important. But apart from that, and we spoke about skills in academia and all that, I honestly believe that if we want to reach to where Philippines or India is right now, we need to mobilize the diverse workforce in our country, which is 49% women. And we are not even, we're so worried about our youth and our graduates that we are not even focusing on that sector, right? So I think that's something that the government needs to think and make part of their policy, in the next year, 2 years, 3 years maybe. And I've been doing some work in my own capacity, but I think that's a huge area where we can bring a lot of impact if we are to, sort of like meet the 30 billion or the 50 billion target in the next 10 years. We need to bring as many people as possible into the workforce, and bringing your diverse workforce would be one of the few things. The best part about IT, and given that our culture, is that women can also work from home. So that is also something that we need to consider. I think IT is the only industry that I know of where you can have the largest women workforce working from home. So that's an area that you should that where the emphasis should be in the next few years. I've been here in Skardu, and I've seen a huge, youth and women number at the University of Baltistan, and a 50% women count. I think once we are able to cover on the infrastructure side of things, and we are very quickly covering that, we should be able to, and we must be able to get this youth involved, because I was very, very happy and overwhelmed to see the kind of education that they've received, and the kind of maturity that these kids have. And being a businesswoman, being a businesswoman, I think that even as an entrepreneur and as a businesswoman, I see a lot of opportunity for myself, for my own business in these areas, given that we can reach that.
Thank you so much. It's very cold here, sir, and I would like you to conclude the session with discussing about the gap between industry and academia, which is a very important topic.
So yeah, the fringe benefits of doing a live show in the elements. Look, what we are looking at is currently the academia is unable to fulfill the requirement of the industry, and the biggest challenge that we are facing is creating the billable resource which the industry can immediately hire. And what is happening when the billable resource is not available? The cost of the industry goes up, because then they have to train this particular resource for a good 6, 7, 8 months, maybe up to, in certain cases, up to 15 months before they can put them into a project. Now, what I personally believe is there can be multiple ways of mending that. Number one is take a typical teacher who's teaching, a professor who's teaching CS program. A typical profile is somebody who has done his own masters in computer sciences back in 2008. And he's been or she's been teaching for the past 10, 12, 13 years. During this period, because they haven't been to the industry, during this period the industry has changed multiple times significantly. For instance, the advent of cloud. 2008, there was hardly any cloud service provider available, or hardly any cloud service available, and now all of a sudden everything has moved on to cloud. So all the architecture has changed, all the service delivery commitment has changed, all the capex and opex model have changed, and with that you now have the SaaS option available. However, most of our teachers are not equipped to understand that, and hence when the students are now going to the market, they are facing this stark reality of whatever they have learned in the university is no more applicable. Now, the first thing that I feel is, and that can be an alternative or an add-on to training the students, is to train the teachers. So if we can do a pilot project where we train the teachers in cloud technologies, in cloud platforms, in helping them to understand that, look, you do understand databases, but do you understand database on multi-cloud? Do you understand what would happen to structuring of a data when you move it to the cloud, and when you when you have to mount it onto different cloud platforms where your schema is somewhere else, your data is residing somewhere else, and you have to marry it up to make something happen. The other benefit, what I see of bringing the teachers towards the knowledge of cloud, is that this will allow them and this will help them understand that, look, they can train their students very cost effectively by launching those services, those applications, those tools on cloud platforms. Things that they now wait for months and years for those things to be available to them. They write RFPs, and they wait for the tools to be delivered to them. Those tools are now available onto cloud. For instance, if you want to set up a blockchain node, or a permission blockchain platform, and you say, I need 6 servers, each one of those servers will be having the blockchain application, and then the layer and the fabric. Upon that fabric, there will be a blockchain application, and that platform, for you would have to wait for somewhere around 6-7 months for all that setup to be available, installed, ready, tested, before you can launch a project. If you want to spin 6 nodes of permission blockchain on cloud, this will take you 21 minutes or more or less, for less than $100. So compared to $100,000 on setting up your own infrastructure, or getting onto cloud and doing the same, will cost you less than $100. So all of a sudden, what we can do is we can significantly reduce the cost of delivery of those new tools and services and trainings, and this will help the teacher and the students both. Other programs can be, as Syed earlier mentioned, other programs can be where we can bring the industry to selected courses and deliver those courses alongside the teacher. So there will be an industry professional standing right next to the teacher, and if the teacher is talking about, let's say, architecture of an schema, the industry professional can jump in and tell the students how critical it is, because if they don't do this right from the very beginning, their application would face severe problems going further. So a couple of these programs, I believe, if we train the teacher first and help them come at par with where the industry is, this would probably help us in longer term as well.
What would you suggest for the FIP students, like they when they do their final year projects, they are having zero knowledge of project management, soft skills, and what industry expects from them, because they think like we are doing this FIP and we will be getting a job based on this FIP. So what would you suggest a person from industry should be associated with the FIP team, supervisory team of the student? So what you say about this?
I think FIP is a failed concept. The final year projects no more serve the purpose they were built for 50 years ago. Instead, now what we should have is a pool of industry problems, where the companies would be setting up a pool of problems every year, and each problem will be assigned to multiple universities, and the universities will be asked to assign these problems to the students, and let's see if the students will be able to create a point of proof of concept. It may not work at all. It may be bad. It may have code issues. It may have architectural issues. But at least it will get the teachers and the students both realize of what's going on, literally what's going on in the industry, what are the industry problems, and it will at least give them some hope towards trying and solving it, rather than picking something out of thin air and assuming that they would just complete it. They would write a small code of hospital management, and they will present it to the academia, and they get their degree. So I think if we move with the industry towards solving the industry problems through the academia, I think this would really work.
That would be really great. So I would like to thank you all for sitting in this cold but a very beautiful place. And obviously we will be having more exciting episodes of this Tech Savvy program. So thank you for watching us. Allah Hafiz.